Ladies and gentlemen, the power is on. From the Power Slap Arena in Las Vegas, welcome to Power Slap.
Slap fighting is about to go to a whole nother level. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. I've been this fired up since like 2008. I'm excited. I've been waiting for this moment for a couple of months now. The last episode airs tonight on TBS, which is really, just a cut-up version of the season. And, there's been a lot of talk about Power Slap over the last couple of months. Some good, some bad, mostly bad. But let me tell you what, the numbers don't lie. We have over 1 billion views on social media. 1 billion on social media. Just TikTok alone, we're at almost 1 billion. Instagram was doing 38.5 million views a week. Rumble had the rights to this thing internationally. And, just the international show is at around 15 million views. And the list goes on and on. And remember something, that's in 8 weeks. This isn't like years or whatever. This is in 8 weeks. So the numbers do not lie. And the live event's going to be free and live on Rumble this weekend. And every bar from Buffalo Wild Wings to Hooters, here in Las Vegas, PT's Pubs, Caesars Palace, MGM, Grand, Station Casinos, Golden Gate, Circa. The list goes on and on. Ellis Island, Village Pubs, all covering it, all carrying it. And you can also bet on this thing. So you can bet at all these casinos too. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to turn it over to Charlie.
Well, first off, I just want to say welcome to everybody. This is the first ever Power Slap press conference. We've gone through so much in the past 8 weeks, just like you've experienced. On top of the show that's been airing on TBS, Dan Hellie and myself have also been hosting an after show called After Slap, which is aired on Rumble, and we've seen tremendous people watching that show as well. So I think across the board, it's fair to say Power Slap has been doing incredible. Dana, you've talked so much about the naysayers from the very beginning, people who said you couldn't accomplish this and it was a bad idea. And now here we are. People have already expressed so much excitement. So what are your expectations for the first ever live event on Saturday night?
Well, this whole time I've just sort of bit my tongue, sat back, and I had a question back in 2017 and 18 when I was looking at this stuff, and I was like, this thing has 350 million views. What would happen if you did this the right way and had the right, had an athletic commission in place and the right marketing and promotion? Well, the answer is over 1 billion. That's the answer. 350 million they did back then. We're at over 1 billion. And like I said, I haven't been this excited since like 2008. This has been fun for me. It's been exciting, and I'm really looking forward to the finale. And obviously, for those of you that remember the old days in the UFC, the product that you saw last Saturday night, for any of you that were there live, who was there live Saturday night? Fucking unbelievable, right? I mean, it was just unbelievable. People that have been to everything and have even been to UFC events were hitting me up Sunday, Monday, just blown away by how incredible the event was. Well, that's been a 22-year project. We evolve every year and get better and better. I am just as obsessed about Slap as I am with the UFC, about the live production. We've been working on it nonstop. We're actually going to have a live event here on Thursday just to do a practice run to make sure that this thing is dialed in and perfect for Saturday.
And we are going to take questions from all of you in just a few minutes. But first, we want to talk to our first class of athletes who competed in this first season. We have 8 competitors all vying to become the first ever set of Power Slap champions on Saturday night. And in our heavyweight clash, we have 2 guys who you actually recruited. They're 2 of the best power slappers, or slap fighters rather, in the world. Darius the Destroyer and Wolverine, who also acted as coaches on this first season. So Darius, let's start with you here. This is the 4th time you and Wolverine have faced each other. You have his number in all 3 of those matches. This will be your 4th on Saturday. What can we expect out of that title clash?
So, I honestly don't believe I have his number. You know, last time we fought, we had the world record for the longest slap match ever, 27 rounds. And, you know, that's probably not going to happen here. There's a little more regulation here and a little bit stricter stuff. But, you know, we've gone 27. We could have gone 30, 40, 50, 60. You know, this dude has an iron chin. So, you know, I'm just going to give it my all, give it my best, and deliver everything I can.
Okay, so on Saturday, we'll not be going 30, 40, or 50 rounds. Thank goodness for everybody, right? But Wolverine, knowing that it could go up to 5 rounds, what does that mean for you?
It means it's going to be a hell of a match for everybody to watch. And, I mean, it's going to be a powerful slaps coming from both of us.
Okay, now moving on to our light heavyweight matchup. This one is probably the most anticipated of the night because of the 2 competitors taking place in it. We have AJ Hints and also Vern Cathy. There we go. AJ, let's start with you. You have an iron chin. You have the strongest neck in this competition. We know that for sure. But what are you expecting going up against a guy like Vern, who we know has tremendous knockout power and also has yet to be slapped in competition so far?
I'm excited to be the first one to slap him. It's going to be a good fight. We're going to slap the shit out of each other, guys. We really are.
So, Vern, lucky for you, you won the coin toss, which means you will be slapping first. And we know from experience throughout this entire season that is the most important thing probably in this competition. So what is your game plan, knowing that you get that first slap, but knowing that AJ could be coming shortly thereafter?
Oh, the plan is just have a good, clean match. You know, I don't want any penalties. I don't want any fouls. I just want everyone to be able to see that we can do this under the rules and regulations to make sure everything's good in that aspect.
Okay, now moving on to our middleweight matchup. First, we have Azael El Perro Rodriguez, who, if you watched Power Slap Road to the Title, you know had a little bit of fun inside the house. That's probably speaking lightly about it. But because of his antics, a lot of people weren't expecting his power on the Power Slap stage to be quite what it was. So, Azael, how would you say that what people were saying about your behavior inside the house reflected what you were able to do in competition?
I mean, just I would just say don't believe everything you see on TV. Just follow me on social media. You're going to see that I actually put in work, and I actually showed it in each of my matches. So I'm going to come in super stronger than ever. So I'm excited for this match against John.
Yeah, and John Davis, Azael told us just yesterday that you were someone that he was worried about coming into the house. He thought you might have been his stiffest competition, and here you guys are matching up in the first ever Power Slap live event. So, John, knowing that you had so much potential to live up to and you actually did, what does that mean for you here this weekend?
It means a lot to me. You know, I really am grateful for the opportunity. You know, grateful to go against, obviously, he's the number 2, I'm number 1. That's where they seated us. Why would you not want to see that? From anything from the house, that doesn't mean anything to where we are now. We're both here to, like everyone else, put on a good, clean show. And hope, fireworks is all I can say that we're both going for.
And talking about fireworks, we know we're going to get that in our welterweight matchup. Sitting right next to you is Chris Thomas. He goes by the nickname KO Chris for very good reason. You have such huge power. So, Chris, what are you expecting to do? Do you think it's going to be a first-round knockout for you? Because you also won the coin toss.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a one and done. I like him. I have respect for him, but to be honest, I know what my power is, and yeah, I see it just going to be one and done.
His opponent, Jesus Gaspar Diaz, came in as a bit of an underdog in this competition. You were picked last. You were also an alternate going into the house, but here you are competing on the biggest stage in Power Slap, competing for the welterweight championship. So knowing that you exceeded so many people's expectations, what are your hopes for Saturday night?
That's the main thing. Nobody has no shot from Chris. Chris has KO'd all his opponents, and I want to be the first one. I have so much to prove in this fight. But Chris doesn't. Chris is already a superstar in this sport. He's done the dirt. He's done the fights. He's 4 fights up, and I'm ready to eat those shots. I'm ready to go and give him a show because that's what he deserves. That's what nobody has able to give him a good match. So that's my main goal, and I'm looking for that belt as well. I'm coming for that title.
Well, Chris Thomas, we know, has never even gone to a decision. So all of these fights going to be extremely interesting on Saturday night. Dana, when you hear all of them speak, all of them are so big on what they've been able to accomplish so far and have dreams even past this upcoming weekend rather. So what is it about everyone sitting up here that made you want to bring them into this competition in the first place?
Well, the coolest thing about when you set up a competition like this is the best always rise to the top when we do these type of competitions. It's fascinating, actually. And I mean, if any of you in the media have actually gotten into this and watched the show and it's no different than The Ultimate Fighter. I mean, even when we did The Ultimate Surfer, the guy who won the Ultimate Surfer show ended up winning the U.S. Open of surfing. I mean, he beat everybody. So when you do this style of competition, the best rise to the top, and these matches are great. And there's so much deja vu for me with this whole slap thing. It is exactly like the beginning of the UFC, season 1 of the UFC, everything. Everybody's shitting on the show. Everybody's talking negatively. This isn't a real sport. These people aren't athletes. This shouldn't be sanctioned. This shouldn't be this. This shouldn't be. It's exactly the same. The only thing that's different is more media is covering it. We couldn't get any media to cover the UFC in the early days. So this has been so fun for me, man. I just, if you can't tell, I'm letting you know. It's been an incredible ride for me for the last 60 days. We literally picked the perfect cast, and I'm excited for Saturday.
Yeah,
I don't know if I answered your question, but yeah,
you answered. The creme de la creme, absolutely taking the stage here right now. And now we want to open up the floor to some questions from the media.
Hi, how are you? Jim Grease, MMA Weekly. Dana, you mentioned, that was my question. You mentioned this is exactly or pretty much very close to what the UFC was. But you're a whole hell of a lot different. I mean, everything you've been through, all those years, all the hurdles you had to jump over to get the UFC to where it could become what it is today. How much of that can you apply here now, and how much, with the world changing and everything, how much is different?
Yeah, I think that's what's made this so fun for me. I haven't had this feeling in a very long time. And I love to build. I love to build things. And more importantly, I love to take things that people say can't be done and do it. That's literally my thing and what I love to do. And, we're on our way here. I've literally just sat back the last 60 days, bit my tongue, do what I do. These guys did what they do. And like I said, whatever your opinion is of this doesn't have to, I don't like golf. Doesn't mean people shouldn't watch it. But the numbers don't lie. This thing is a monster. Just to give you some idea, the week of the Super Bowl. So you had the Pro Bowl and then going to the Super Bowl. We destroyed the NFL on social media by doubled the numbers that they did. WWE came out of a tentpole event. We destroyed the WWE by double. The UFC had the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world fighting the #2 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. We destroyed the UFC's numbers on social media. This thing is an absolute machine on social.
And how would you compare running Power Slap to running the UFC? Not much of a comparison now, obviously, because the UFC is so huge, but what are some of the comparisons you could make?
Well, all the stuff that I said earlier, it's like deja vu. In the beginning, it's exactly the same as the UFC. But, I have the same philosophy going into Slap that I do in the UFC. I'm out looking for the best talent that we can find. You bring that talent in, you cultivate it, you know, like the stuff that we've done in the PI with these athletes. And now there's things that I can't announce today. It's not time yet. I will soon. And but this thing is going to a whole nother level here in the next several weeks. And I'm looking forward to dialing in the production, finding the talent, putting on the best, you know, matches that we can possibly do. And it's exactly the same as the UFC.
You're a guy who loves a challenge, but you also love combat sports, right? So how important it was for you at this stage of your career to maybe have something new to focus on? Did you need something like this to maybe get that fire going again, or just a new challenge?
That's a good question. I mean, I like I said, I haven't been this excited in a very long time. You know, I still get the John Jones fight the other night. John Jones is back, and you get excited and everything else. But the UFC, we have built this thing into an incredible, well-oiled machine, man. I tell my employees all the time, we're the best to ever do it in the history of combat sports, and we're always looking to take it to the next level. And now with Slap, and the media has been incredible. The media has been incredible through this thing. It's like, if any of you saw the Chris Rock special that's out, Selective Outrage. That's what's happened here with Power Slap. Selective outrage. Power Slap has been around, not Power Slap, but slapping has been around for 10 years, right? Logan Paul and Arnold Schwarzenegger had a slap event, unregulated, no medicals, no nothing, right? Nobody said boo. There wasn't one story written. We do the right things. We go for approval. We test. We invest millions of dollars into it. We make it safe. We go through the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and everybody is outraged. This is disgusting. This should never happen. Selective outrage. I love the media. You guys have helped me build this thing into a monster over the last 8 weeks. I just want to thank you all, especially the New York Times. You guys are amazing.
Thanks, Dan.
I've got a question for Chris. I'm wondering if you could talk to me about what you think the biggest misconception about slap fighting is.
Just like being able to defend ourselves, or like everybody thinks that we're not able to defend ourselves, but we all have our own techniques, our way of like I clench my body different than other people do. I don't know, just people have a lot of messed up perceptions about it. I don't know. It's all crap. I just stopped reading it lately because it's getting into my head, so I just stopped it. I'm here to compete, and just like they said, and the numbers are huge, so it's going somewhere.
And like Dana said, this is for anybody on the panel. Dana mentioned that there's a lot of negative talk, and I'm curious, how do you guys shut that out, or how would you respond to somebody who speaks negatively? Go ahead.
Usually just on social media, if someone has something to say to me, I'll just tell them to have a wonderful day anyhow. And then they keep going, and then I just tell them to get better and have a wonderful day again. And if that doesn't seem to work, I usually end. I'm at work or doing something with my family, so you know I don't always have the time of day to answer your hateful comments towards me or anyone up here who are out here doing our thing. But you know, other than that, I don't. What do you want us to say to you people out there? You know, like I'm not here to argue with you over a social media post or something like that. Like, have a wonderful day and feel better is all I really have to say to you.
And they're still watching it. That's the most important part.
Thanks for the views. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And Dana, what was the biggest surprise producing this year?
You know, I think that, you know, I told you I'd seen this stuff on social media, and I took a deep dive in and started researching it. And some of you were there. I don't know if some of you that were there. When we did the first one in March as a test run, you know, this whole event that we did in March, first season, this is all a test. When you start a business, you have to get out there and you have to figure out what works, what doesn't work. Some things work, so you keep using it. Some things don't, so you get rid of it. So we really built a real comprehensive plan going into season one, so that we could really test this stuff. We tested it on television. We tested it on all the different social media platforms. We tested it live. We did all these different things to kind of say. I think the biggest shocker for me was when we did the first live event. When you actually are there, people ask me, you know, because they're coming to the finale and they're like, "What's it like?" And I said, It's unbelievable when you see it happen live. It sounds like a gunshot goes off when these guys actually make contact with each other, and how tough and durable and just, these guys are unique, different people. And I think it's a cool, and one of the things that I like too, that I'm starting to notice, we're still doing testing on it, but there's some crossover with the UFC, but this is bringing in a completely different fan base than the UFC's. And I love that. I love that about this. So it's going to be fun. I'm going to have fun playing with this over the next couple of years.
And you spoke about a little bit of crossover there. I've spoken to quite a few UFC fighters that have expressed interest in trying it themselves. How many have reached out to you?
Yeah, I'm surprised about how many guys have reached out and want to be a part of this thing, But I love it. I embrace it. We'd love to have them be a part of it. Anybody that is excited about it and wants to be a part of it, we're in. I love it.
Thank you.
AJ, I got a question for you. With you taking on Vern on Saturday, and he hasn't even been slapped yet, if you think that you make it past his first slap, that'll be like taking him down like the Invincible. Like, he might be shook if you last past that first slap.
Yeah, I think when I eat that first slap, that's gonna get in his head right away. Because like, how can it not? You know what I mean? It's like he hasn't been to that point yet. It's always he slaps him, and that's the end of the fight. You know what I mean? So like, it's gonna be a whole different ball game.
So Vern, so my question for you, if he does make it past that first slap, are you going to look at him like this guy's built a little bit different, that he's able to eat one of mine? And how are you going to react when you finally, or if it happens, take a slap from someone else?
I'm going to be excited. I mean, that's going to be a new venture, but I've been an athlete my whole life, so me getting nervous over something is just not going to happen. I mean, did anyone else go out there when they knocked a guy out and not celebrate? Did they just stand there? Like, if you're worried about making me nervous, that's crazy. Like, I'm not going to get nervous one bit.
Thank you.
That's crazy because I'm nervous.
My question's for Vern. Your knockout over Amir was got a lot of praise, and Dana said it's the greatest slap of all time. Can you just kind of talk about that slap and just, I guess, relive just all of the positive that came from it?
Well, on the positive side, it was a clean slap. I mean, my hand didn't go up on his face. Everything I followed through, so I was excited. But I didn't show it because a real competitor just keeps their composure. So I just wanted to swing through. Everything was good, and I was excited even though you guys didn't see it. I'm sorry about that.
And Dana, with that slap, with Vern's slap over Amir on episode 7, you said it was the greatest slap of all time. Do you still stand by that?
Oh, yeah.
Release the footage. Release
Waiting
the
on it.
footage. I've been asking for it.
My team has asked me not to release the footage.
You all need to see the
tape,
footage.
Dana.
So much more. There's so much more.
Let's just put it this way. I don't think there's a lot of tough guys up here that have done some things. I don't think anybody in this room would deny that that's the greatest slap of all time. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. Anybody want to debate it?
Debate it.
You debate it? Yeah, you're crazy. I love you, AJ, but you're crazy. That was pretty vicious.
What's this footage that everyone's talking about?
Let's just say it was heavily edited.
And then finally, just the season itself had a lot of wild moments. There was a lot of fights in the house. You had to kick somebody off. It's been a while. Tough has been kind of safe the last couple years, but Power Slap kind of brought it back to the drama that reality TV show is supposed to be. So can you talk about how crazy the season was?
Yeah, I think that, because the UFC has become such a huge established sport, these guys remind me very much of the cast of season 1. They just do. Everything that's gone on for the last 60 days has been complete deja vu for me. And it's funny because I almost kind of forgot a lot of the stuff that happened because it's been so long, and things like the selective outrage from the media and all the different things that have gone on this last 2 months. And it's actually been fun for me. And yeah, these guys are, when you're involved in, like the UFC, nobody knew where this thing was going to go. It was the last $10 million investment from the Fertitta brothers to try to make this thing work. and we bring these guys in. We had to go out and find these guys, find out who had been on the scene, in the slap. These aren't just guys that we brought in from. These guys have been on the scene doing this stuff before. Some were new, but some had been out there for a long time. Like I said, slap's been around for 10 years. I didn't invent slap. I mean, this has been around. And the one thing that I could always say about Craig Piligian and Pilgrim Films is they're always on point with the casting. This was the cast. This was the group that was supposed to be on season 1 of Power Slap.
And finally, for me, you said that you brought the example of Logan Paul and Arnold did that thing, and there wasn't really any outrage. There wasn't anything written.
There was
about
none.
it.
There was zero.
But then you attach your name to it. Do you believe that the hate and the outrage is because you attached yourself to this?
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it, man. And let me get into this real quick. So, there was a story that came out today about. Let me talk about the story that came out in my home newspaper again. Okay, the Las Vegas Review-Journal is talking about how ashamed the Nevada State Athletic Commission should be about, sanctioning Power Slap, right? The Nevada State Athletic Commission is the best athletic commission in the world. Now, and it's not just because they're in our hometown. If the equivalent of the Nevada State Athletic Commission was in Alaska, we'd be going to them for approval, right? And I just, the executive director, Jeff Mullen, he's been involved in combat sports since 1979, right? And he has served in a regulatory capacity since 1983, right? So this guy is experienced. Now, what the Nevada State, it doesn't matter what your opinions are of this. This has been going on for 10 years, unregulated. And what the Athletic Commission does is they come in and oversee it, and they make sure that all the health and safety precautions are in place, that everybody's abiding by it and doing what they're supposed to do. These unregulated events are going on all over the world. You know what I mean? And what's so great about Nevada is always first. They're the best. And I got to point out, Anthony Marnell. So those of you that don't know who Anthony Marnell is, he's a very wealthy guy here in Las Vegas. This guy's got money. Last thing he needs to do is any of this stuff, right? You know what he's done? He's been on the athletic commission for almost 10 years because he loves the state of Nevada, and he wants to make sure that this state is putting on the safest events that it could possibly put on. Now, there are some athletic commissioners out there that just want great tickets, come hang out at the fights, and things like that. What makes Nevada so great is that they're always first, and they really do care about making sure that the health and safety things are in place. So we have over 30 fighters over the last 22 years that, because of our hardcore medical testing, had conditions that were life-threatening if they got involved in a combat sport. And they didn't even know they had it, and they were probably competing before that. We found out, and that's the end of it. They don't compete anymore. And we just happened yesterday with Slap. We found a guy yesterday through our testing that had a brain aneurysm. Let him know that fight's off, and this guy should never compete again in a combat sport. That's why health and safety is so important, and why it should be regulated, and why reporters, especially in our hometown, shouldn't be saying that the Nevada State Athletic Commission, you don't like Slap? Fine. Don't watch Slap. Don't come to an event. Don't cover it. No problem. But for you to, the local newspaper to condemn the commission for doing what they're in place, that's what they're here for. That's what they're here to do. Slap fighting isn't going anywhere. It's been around for years. We took it in. That's why I'm talking about like the Chris Rock special, Selective Outrage. When it was going on before, nobody was covering it. And like you just pointed out, because I'm involved now, everybody wants to attack it, right? And right now, to let you guys know, as of today, we received approval from 5 states to hold Slap events. There are an additional 5 states where SLAPP is being supported by the commission and is being added to the agenda for approval in the next 30 to 60 days. And there are additional 6 states where SLAPP is discussed for approval by the legislature. So the Nevada State Athletic Commission did what they do best. They kicked this thing off. All the other commissions look at what they're doing, and it's the right thing to do. Now, the Nevada State Athletic, the Las Vegas Review-Journal was also the newspaper that when I started going through COVID and I was going to have fans, that wrote the story, 12,000 people are willing to die to watch the UFC event. Get the fuck out of here. Come on. That's our home newspaper, the great Las Vegas Review-Journal. I'm done. What's next?
Hey, Dana, right here.
Yep.
You had talked about the numbers that this would do on social media. I was just looking on TikTok. There's one video that has 246 million views. It has almost 6 million likes. Talk to me about that.
I just, like I said earlier, when I was looking at this stuff in 2017, 18, and I was looking at the numbers, and guys, you've seen the quality of production. No medical, nobody there. If anything went wrong, the list goes on and on. This thing was pulling 350 million views. So I was like, so think about that. That one clip pulled almost as many views as the entire, whatever that event was or whatever was going on as that one did. So this thing's well over 1 billion in 8 weeks. We have 3 million social media followers in 8 weeks. I don't know what's ever done that before. I don't even know if anything has ever done that before.
And I just wanted to say, as a member of media that knows a thing or two about taking a slap, I just wanted to say thank you guys and respect to you guys for doing this, because it takes a lot of balls to get up there and want to be slapped by another human being. But I do love a good beef, and I want to know, AJ, you're a pretty laid-back guy, but when you knocked out Russell, you got pretty aggressive afterward. What was it about Russell that made you kind of, go wild afterward?
So I actually asked to be matched up with Russell. They asked me, who do you want? And I was like, respectfully, Russell, because he's the biggest guy in the house. He's going to hit me the hardest, and, that's going to be, how I prove myself. You know what I mean? And, unfortunately, he did not have a chin, and I went first, so I didn't get to prove myself in that manner. But the moment he found out about that I wanted to be matched up with him, his attitude and his demeanor changed. And he's talking all that cash shit all week. I'm going to knock you out your shoes. You're nothing. You have no power. You knocked out the fat boy. You don't deserve to be here. And I was like, bro, I'm going to eat your slap, and I'm going to knock you the fuck out for talking all that shit. And he didn't believe it. And I told him, I was like, don't let me do it, because I'm going to disrespect you, and it's not going to be good. And, and then he fucking laid down and did the Harlem Shake, so...
And just so everyone knows, Russell Rivera will be competing in the prelims against Isaiah Quiones, so he'll have a little chance at redeeming his reputation, if you will. And I also just want to point out, because this is something special and rather bizarre about AJ, is he does not train. He has not trained. He has continued to not train. So that's something I would say sets him apart from the rest of the group, which is pretty unbelievable.
And then one more question for you guys. I don't know how much of the curtain we're allowed to pull back, but is there any story that you guys have, a funny story or a prank that happened at the house that we didn't see on TV that you want to share with us?
Jesus, I feel like you should answer this one.
Uncle Nelson? One time I'm coming out of my room and I don't know what I said. I said, I'm gonna put this guy in a full Nelson. And then Brandon's like, you know what? I got a better move. It's called the Uncle Nelson. He grabbed me, put me in a triangle hold with an arm triangle. I don't know what to do with it. And you know what happened after? My hands were this guy.
I think everybody wants to see the Uncle Nelson.
But he just didn't get me. I escaped it partially. The homie No Love Emmanuel, he was just disappointed at Vern. He didn't want to escape. But a bunch of stuff happened at the house, man. So much. I can't really think about it right now.
Vern, what is an Uncle Nelson?
An Uncle Nelson's when you put someone in a full Nelson and then you just start acting like you're humping them, and then they can't get away.
What an uncle would do. Speaking,
he was very upset. Emmanuel just went emotionally blank and was like, Really?
How do you get both of us though? Like, and I shut up. Like he's like, I'm like, you know what? Show him. I was so pissed. I was like, you know, you can show him too. If you get him, good.
And speaking of antics and maybe peeling back another layer, Azael, you were involved in, most of the drama, we'll call it, in the house. Any more insight you can provide into what went down in the house that maybe we didn't get a glimpse of?
Yeah, I love when you say don't believe everything you see on TV. It was on film.
I know, but I feel like
It wasn't me.
it wasn't fully. They didn't really show that there was a lot of things that started all that drama, and me being drunk and then me being upset. I mean, for the most part, I like to drink a lot, but you know what I'm saying. So I was just there to party it up in the first night. I knew that I had a whole week to prepare for my next match. So then, I was like, okay, let's have a good time. I got a little bit comfortable with everyone, and then I feel like everyone just started beefing it up because, here comes this guy, brand new. Everyone already had their little cliques, so I feel like there was just a lot of not a lot of acceptance from a lot of the guys. So. But other than that, the Carice beef was really real. That one was something else. There was a lot more stuff that happened in the house that they didn't show with Carice. So that's why I acted up the way I did after I knocked him out.
Well, the good news is that Azael also had some skills to back up, the drama that he brought into the house. You had 9 slaps, all of them clean, no fouls, which is pretty unheard of if you look at the competition throughout the course of the series, and 3 wins. So at least you had the skills to back it up as well, right?
That's what I'm saying. I do like to party, and don't judge me on me partying, because partying is the best thing that someone can do. You know what I'm saying?
The whole world did.
But I'm here as a competitor. I'm here to win, and I've been showing it up since the beginning of the show. So.
Charlie, go ahead right here. Yeah.
Dana, I was just wondering, you read so many stories, you mentioned the critics, and it comes back to the CTE and all the brain injuries and the possibilities, but isn't it a bit hypocritical when you can use, strikes or elbows in MMA? And so I'm wondering, why the criticism is it because of the one slap? Or
Great question. It's fascinating to me that these people who are supposed to be knowledgeable about combat sports, or these doctors, some of these doctors that come out are looking for attention. There's no doubt about it. They can go in and get their name in the newspaper and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, anybody who gets involved in combat sports knows exactly what the risks are. Getting hit in the head is never good for you, okay? Everybody knows that. Now, when you look at a typical boxing match, these guys take 300 to 400 punches a fight. Doesn't matter whether you can intelligently defend yourself. You get punched 300 to 400 times, and that doesn't include the sparring that you did before the fight, right? Over the last, I've said this a million times, but over the 2001, we bought the UFC. 2023, 0 deaths, 0 serious injuries, because we spend the money. We only go to regulated states. We spend the money on all the health and safety. We make sure they have the proper medical testing before, during, and after the fights. 2001, 2023 in boxing, 34 deaths. So your selective outrage is on the wrong sport. Let's start there. But boxing's been around forever. Well, you're going to get any traction attacking boxing, and you're not going to get any traction not attacking me. You know what I mean? It's silly. It's ridiculous. These guys will take 3 or less slaps an event, unless these guys go to 5, right? And these guys have gone through the same exact medical testing, same standards as UFC fighters. The same money has been spent on these guys as it has. That's why writing negative stories about the Nevada State Athletic Commission, you should be applauding the Nevada State Athletic Commission if you really look at what it's meant to do. They're not there to determine whether you should like slap or not. That's not the point. The point is it's going to happen. This stuff was going on in places where it wasn't safe. This athlete who came in yesterday, who has a brain aneurysm, would have never been known had we not spent the money and did the medical testing. These guys are, first of all, they're much safer fighting here, obviously getting much more exposure. This is going to change their lives. They're able to make money for their families. This is exactly like the UFC when we started it. And the same things were being said. When we first started the UFC, all these guys had jobs. These guys were fighters in the UFC, but they had jobs. I mean, Rich Franklin was a school teacher. And the list goes on and on. The Nevada Athletic Commission should be applauded, and for them to be, for our local home paper to call them out and try to talk negatively about them, it's disgusting. Disgusting.
Another thing, it seems like I remember in the first episode, this was originally going to be a pay-per-view, and now it's not. What kind of happened in that with that whole thing?
Yeah, well, we were literally flying to Abu Dhabi, and Lorenzo and I and a few of the other guys that are involved in this, we were going through the business plan for this thing and how we were going to do this and that and everything else. And we said, maybe we put it on TV and then we build this whole social and digital plan around it. And then it's a pay-per-view at the end. And we hemmed and hawed back and forth on paper. We don't know. We didn't know. I mean, this thing I saw 350 million views in 17 and 18. And I said, what's it going to look like if we do it right? I don't know if we're going to do any views. But, we're just starting new social media platforms for this thing, and let's be honest, I didn't do myself any favors on New Year's Eve. Okay? So if you look at all the things that were going on, we had to figure out, it's all a test. You're testing all these different platforms in different ways for this to work. And obviously, social was so massive, started making sense to look at this thing, social media. There's two things that this thing kills. Social media and in bars. It's great bar content. When you're in a bar and you're having some drinks and this comes on, let me tell you what, nobody's not watching it, okay? The whole place. So we actually did this too. We did testing. We sent some people out to bars that were airing it in Las Vegas and to the casinos. And our people went in and just sat back and watched all the people inside the bars and all the people in the casinos to see the reactions. And I'll give you one of the things. It was at the sports book, and they had this massive sports book, and the NBA's on, and hockey's on, and all these other things are on, right? These games are going on. Now, when you think about these type of sports, the last 2 minutes of the game is the most important, right? It's like, oh man, the Celtics are playing the Knicks. They're in double overtime, and it's 123 to 123. You're hanging on the edge of your seat to see what happens. Nobody's watching that stuff when Slap is on, okay? It can be the first fight of the night, the last fight of the night. Everybody was zeroed in and fixated on Slap. So it works in bars, and it absolutely destroys it on social media.
How long will the program, I guess the card last? Do you do a bunch of background, you do a bunch of stories?
Yeah. So again, the production is all a work in progress, just like the UFC was in the early days. So we did the first one last March. We tried a bunch of things. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't like. We took out what I didn't like. We put in what I did like. And we kept trying, testing, and doing things. And that's what I had to approve your walkout music up until like 2017. That's how dialed in the production is in UFC. Up until 2017, you couldn't walk to a song that I didn't approve. That's happening here now too, unfortunately, boys. I'm sorry, but and we're going to be testing all different types of with the live event, with the television event, until we get to. I mean, it's going to take years. This isn't going to happen. I'm so nervous for Saturday night, to make this thing a great live event and to make it great on television. That's why we're doing the event on Thursday, to do a test run so that this thing comes off as good as it can possibly be for Saturday night.
Is there a way to peel back a little teeny peek of that curtain that you got some big things planned?
I can't right now, no. But yeah, I'll have some announcements in the next couple of weeks. And, I know, again, in the media, everybody's saying, oh, this thing's going to be canceled on episode 2. Oh, no, episode 3, it'll be done. Let's see what episode 4 does. And the list goes on. And like I said, I've just been biting my tongue for 2 months and letting the selective outrage, play out. And it's been incredible. I'm being sarcastic when I say it, but I'm really not joking. If it wasn't for the media The media has been amazing for the last, 60 days. It's been incredible. And again, I got to thank the New York Times for the big article yesterday. You guys are incredible. I appreciate you. And keep them coming.
If I can, also for Wolverine and Darius, just can you talk about the health risks, I guess, and what you're willing to get in, to get up on the stage and do what you do? Just, I mean, what's the thought process? I could get hurt, obviously, or.
I don't really look at it as getting hurt. I mean, I did MMA before this, and I don't really see no difference between getting hit in the head, through punches or a slap. So it's about the same for me.
It's one of the things, too. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in front of you, but it's like when this stuff was coming out and they were talking about, oh, my God, this is this, that, and everything else. I was like, did you not see the Glover Teixeira fight in Brazil? Did you not see the Joanna Jacek fight, with Weili Zhang? Max Holloway and Cater. It's like, how stupid you have to be? How stupid you have to be to write an article that this is vicious and violent and horrible and, you know what I mean? I mean, think of the boxing fans in here that have seen unbelievable knockdown, drag them out, Hearns Hagler, and the list goes on and on. You have to actually be stupid to write that article.
Yeah, and to add on top of that, I've been slapped around 150 times, had 17 bouts, and, did my MRI scans, did my MRAs, no brain damage, never been knocked down, never been stumbled, nothing like that. So as far as I know, I can't get hurt.
Let's hope it stays that way. Is there anyone else?
Yeah, and in no way, shape, or form is anybody up here saying that, there are risks when you get involved in a combat sport. But what we do is we make sure that we're regulated by athletic commissions, starting with the best in the world, Nevada, and we spend the money. We spend the money to make sure that we have a healthy human being going in to compete on Saturday. Then on Saturday, we have the proper medical attention there, and then after, these guys all get evaluated and get taken care of. We will spend whatever it costs to make sure that the athletes that compete under, the UFC or Power Slap are taken care of medically.
Anybody else?
Dana, just a quick one for me. Alex brought up a great point that as soon as your name was attached to it, then people took shots at it indirectly. But the other side of this coin, your name is attached to it, the promotion. A trajectory, if you could. How big can this get? Do we go from Apex to Virgin to MGM Grand to T-Mobile, pay-per-view?
Don't take me wrong. I'm not complaining. I'm dead serious when I say that the media has been incredible over the last 60 days. And how big can this be? Listen, this first season that we did was a test. You test this thing out. You dip your toe in the water. You see what works, what doesn't work. You start playing with things. Over 11 million views internationally on a platform that only has 67 million subscribers. Okay, think about that. I mean, if you can really wrap your head around the social media numbers, over 1 billion in 8 weeks. The answer to your question is, this thing can be massive, huge. I was so excited to come in here today and talk to you guys. And like you were asking me, wait till I talk to you in a couple of weeks and tell you what we're doing and what's going to happen. And it's going to be massive, brother, massive.
Dana, your background has been way back in the day, training boxers and so forth in MMA. Would you ever have imagined you getting up on a stage and doing this?
When I grew up, boxing was the biggest thing in combat sports, and I was obsessed with boxing. So who knows? I mean, I don't know if I would have been into that. Listen, I'm 53 years old right now. I don't want anybody fucking slapping me ever. But who knows? When I was younger, I was literally addicted to boxing. So this is just, I know it's hard for people right now to kind of wrap their heads around it. And a lot of people have read all the negativity that's been out there about the sport. But at the end of the day, this thing is exciting. It's fun. The AJ versus Vern match is insane. These two are going to go at it again. Chris is one of the most powerful slappers. I mean, as you start to see what's going on here, and the other thing that I love about this sport is, you know, there's misconceptions about these athletes like there were the UFC guys. And you've seen some of the home follows with these guys. These guys have families. They have children. You know, these guys live normal lives. I was reading some stuff on the internet the other day. These crackheads that you're pulling off the this and that and all this stuff. These guys are guys who have families and have kids. And, you know, all these guys are up here because they like to do it. They want to compete. And they want to make a better life for their family. That's it. Just like anybody else that does anything else.
And this is just the beginning. And we know all of these guys up here are going to deliver big this upcoming weekend. And the action all starts getting underway on Friday. Weigh-ins are at 1 p.m. local time. And then the first ever live Power Slap event taking place here at the UFC Apex on Saturday. It'll happen at 9 p.m. Eastern and then 6 p.m. Pacific. So everyone.
You guys good?
Be here or miss out.
Thanks for coming out today. We appreciate it.
This is Power Slap. The best strikers and chins.
This is the most exciting sport that you've ever seen in your life.
Right out! That's a knockout! Two of the hardest slappers in the sport.
I've already beat Wolverine. I will prevail once again. There's no losing this time.
The hardest hitters, a lot of energy from start to finish.
The sport of slap fighting is about to go to a whole nother level.